Hi, I'm Arthur, author of the Design System Organizer plugin. Today we are going to talk about features that will help you refactor and involve giant libraries and design systems. And I'm really happy to say that DSO now supports variables. Today we will talk about such features as copying styles and variables between files from one to another while preserving aliases for variables. Talk about key features such as swap libraries and local groups. It's like a swap library in Figma, but also works for variables, and also works as swap between local folders and even swap aliases for variables inside other variables. And talk about additional functions such as quick navigation through pages from component 3 just in one click, duplication of variable collections, and management of path names with slashes. Let's look at all of this one by one. Getting started. Copying variables and styles between files is so easy. Just click Export in one file and Import in another. If you are using remote variables, you may add the library before import. If you have references to local variables, you can either copy values first and then the references, or just copy everything at once. Let's look at an example. I have a file called lib, a huge library with a lot of components. I also have styles that use variables. My gradient styles reference variables from a global collection. Figma calls this aliases. The global collection contains the original values and have a single mode. Tokens collections reference the global variables. It has two modes, light and dark. Now I want to move all variables to a separate file. I launch the DSO plugin, navigate to Variables section. I select both the global and token collections and click Export. A message confirms all variables have been exported and notifies that local aliases were found. Then I go to the destination file, run the plugin again, click Import. All variables are copied. If I open the values, I will see that my tokens are referencing a global collection, and all aliases are preserved. This is very helpful. Alternatively, I could have copied the global variables first, then the tokens. The result will be the same. You can copy styles in the same way. I use Shift plus click to select all style types, and then Export button. A message that everything is exported appears below. I go to the file lib styles and variables and click here Import, and styles appear smoothly. Now it's done. I know that gradient styles use global colors. Let's check whether aliases for variables were saved. I create a rectangle, apply the gradient styles, and go to the global collection, replace the blue variable with some other value. Look, you can see that the gradient color changes. This means that the gradients are linked well. Let's move on. The next feature I'd like to talk about is not only copying between files, but also copying between collections. When copying, we do not transfer the originals, but duplicate them. Unfortunately, this is a limitation of Figma plugins. We are shown a message in which we need to confirm duplication. Please note, for copying between collections, the number of modes must be the same. Let's look at this with an example. I have semantic tokens of different types. What if I want to extract some groups of tokens and move them to a separate collection? Let's say I want to keep one semantic group and here and move all others. Let's do this. I create a new collection and call it specific tokens. Next I go to the plugin and click the update icon. New collection appeared. Now I can simply drag and drop variables from one collection to another. Then in the message below I need to confirm the duplication. That's it. The collection have been transferred. Let's see, just like before, all references are preserved. That's really awesome. But notice that my components use previous folder now and are not linked to new copies. In order to reference them to these copies, you need to use DSO swap variable feature, and I will talk about it right now. Swap variables is one of the key features. Unlike Figma, DSO support variables to swap. It's also possible to swap variables aliases inside styled and other variables, not just layer swap. And it's also possible to swap between local folders. Let's figure it out. Look at the principle of operation. I have a dialog. It's linked to the library lib, and I have lib copy. It can be duplicated before or contain copied elements using the export and import in DSO. And I want use this dialog to use the lib copy library. How can I achieve this? I go to the lib copy, so I go here. Open the plugin and mark the components with the masters by click Mark as Swap Target. You can also do this for style and variables. It works identically. After that, I go to the mockups file. This is the file where it's located the dialog. And just click Swap button at the bottom widget. That's all. Find on current page option is currently enabled, so the swap will occur in current page layers. Let's look at an example. All my components in the lib file use local variables now, and I want to use copied variables from the styles and variables files instead. I mark them as targets. Now they will become the basis for replacement. We go to toggle page and select Match by Full Path option. The full path includes the collection name, which is the same in this case. We choose Find on current page and click Swap variables. Wow, here is a message saying the library is not connected. This is because when copying the new file, we forgot to publish the library. Let's do this right now. So, it's publishing now, it's done. Now we can try again. In the lib file, I'll click Swap variables again. The copying has begun. It takes some time. Honestly, for massive libraries, it is not exactly lightning fast. I recommended grabbing a coffee and enjoying the fact that all happen automatically. By the way, we recently added progress display, so you can roughly estimate how much time is left. Excellent, the entire page has been swapped. Now let's look at swapping for local variables. We have duplicated some variable groups into a new collection called specific tokens before. Now let's link the entire checkboxes page to this new set of variables. To do this, I mark the new variables as the target. Here is the message that they were marked. In the options, I leave the Find on current page and choose Match by Passing collection, because in this case we don't need the collection name to match, as they are different. Look, we have a background here and here, but they are in collection with different names. I click Swap variables as usual. This will also take some time, but swapping local variables is faster. All done! That's awesome! The flexibility lets me easily relink my instances of used elements wherever I need them. Move on, the scope can be the current page as we have tried, or a selected layer. Swapping by selection is useful when you need a partial replacement and it's not available in Figma. You can also swap aliases inside styles and even swap aliases inside variables. Let's do it! Tokens is a collection of aliases referenced to global variables. The final values are in the global collection. Let's duplicate the global and call it global copy. Now I want to make copied collection the master for token aliases. I mark global copy as target. Next, in the options, I choose find in selected variable. Now I select the tokens collection. I will choose match by passing collection because I don't need the collection name in the swap. And click swap variables. The replacement has begun. This will take some time too. Afterward, all my tokens will use global copy values, giving me the freedom to develop the new version of global collection. To save the time, let's fast forward a bit. Excellent, all variables have been relinked. Now, if I open my tokens, they will reference global copy instead. Another example for styles. Remind, the gradients in the styles use the variables values from the global collection. Let's make them use global copy instead. I select find in selected styles, keep match by pass in collection, and click swap. 10 variables have been swapped. Now all my gradients use aliases to global copy collection. Go ahead. Another DSO feature is match by name only. I will demonstrate it with a live playground example. You can find link in description. I open the plugin. Notice, I have two folders within my colors. Pervanche and purple. The variable names inside folders are identical. Currently the design uses the purple folder, but I want to replace it with Pervanche. I mark Pervanche as target, then I select the layers to replace and choose Find in Selection and Match by Name Only options. This ensures the replacement is based on the matching final name without pass. Click Swap Variables, everything is relinked. No more manual selection or complex combination, DSO handles it all for you. To control of instance overrides, we have implemented the swap instance layers feature. Let's see it in action. I have an instance containing other instances, round, square, round and square. In the master component there are Pervanche and purple folders. What if I want to replace purple with Pervanche again? I choose Pervanche as the target. Then I select the layers. I choose Match by Name Only. Find in selected layers and check the Swap Instance Layers toggle. This means changes appears in the override to the instances. And click Swap. It's done! If I undo the override changes, everything reverts to the original state. This offers option to skip instances and make swap faster, if you don't need to apply override. By the way, DSO fully support variants. They are preserved during the swap. Our mission at the DSO is to maximize your design library management and development freedom. Move on to the final section. There are various additional features. One is fast navigation through component pages within the component tree. You will instantly move to the page where it's located by simply clicking on the master's component name from the list in the plugin. Let me demonstrate. I will go to Components tab now. Now I can quickly jump to specific master by navigation through my design system very quickly. For instance, you can immediately start editing it without having to search for it through the pages. Next, there is duplicate collection, which we have already touched on, but you can also duplicate any folders, groups and even styles groups. This is helpful when you need to modify only few parameters within a duplicated group. Let's see an example. I have style groups and the last one is H7. What if I want to duplicate it and add an H7 group? A feature Figma doesn't offer. I launch the DSO plugin, navigate to Styles, select Text Styles, choose H6 and click Duplicate. A new style appears at the bottom. Currently scrolling to the duplicate is not automatic, but we are working on that. I rename it to H7 and move it to the top. Reordering styles for plugins in Figma is not yet possible. Now I have H7 style and I need to change the font size to 20 in all styles within the folder. I would open them one by one and quickly adjust. This is much more efficient than creating new styles manually. And there is also the option to duplicate components, useful sometimes. For instance, you could select master icon, click duplicate, they will appear nearby. Then you can move them and edit based on the originals. A cool feature that started the DSO journey is /based path management. Like icons 32 account. They are still common in large design systems, but are difficult to manage manually. DSO lets you organize them in a folders tree structure. Keep in mind, for the hierarchical structure to be visible in Figma, you now need to go to the settings and enable show folders. Navigation then works as folder system. Let me show you how it works. I have a drop-down menu components, and the designer used slashes to name some components. I open the DSO plugin, select a component, and see that 4 components use the drop-down folder name. Now I can quickly change it to select, and all names are updated simultaneously. I can also ungroup it, keeping the original names, back to drop down. You can also group, move to, and delete items. The plugin has similar functionality for styles and variables. For a faster workflow, the plugin have keyboard shortcuts. Use Command for multiple selection, Shift for selecting a range, and Command plus A to select all. And most importantly, the right-click menu is a huge time saver for me personally. Finally, DSO is a paid plugin. Some features are available for free, but they're limited. The price is $24 for freelancer and $48 for organizations. You only pay one time, there is no subscriptions. You get all features and update permanently. You can purchase DSO on Gumroad website. It is our official partner for payment and license management. Thank you for your time. Please feedback and comments. Bye.